Hey man, one of days with Baz. This is Imperfect Baz at the ready, teaching you another component of your Python SDK with Cinema 4D. So today's component is how to create user data and access that data from Python, and even go a step further and add user data to Espresso ports. So let's get started. I'm going to go to my handy dandy script which inspired all of this. Okay, and we're going to create user data. So I'm going to try to be helpful to some people that are like, why do I want user data? What's that? Alright, well, user data is when you have an object, and here, let me use my script. I have some cool user data in my script. So, oh, I probably should save this though. No, it's cool. It's cool. Alright, so I'm going to call upon my script, and I'm load an image file. It's called Fireflower. I think I'm gonna put it on GitHub. I'm one of those guys that's like, should I put it on GitHub? I don't know if I want people seeing this. I don't know if I want people using this. I don't even, but I'm gonna try to put it up. All right, so I made, and then don't even talk about the script. Don't tell me that you can do it in C4D already. I already know. I found out yesterday, and it was freaking awesome because it's faster than my script. And I learned a lot from my script. I get to teach you Python. So now we're going to teach you Python. What the heck are we going to teach you? Why did I even load this up? I don't even know why I loaded this script. I don't even mind, man. I love myself. I don't even mind anymore. I don't even mind. This is a huge achievement for the self. And I get to teach you Python too, so sweet. Okay. It's really hard for me to stay on track. I'm gonna tell you, I'm in way over my head, but I'm desperately trying to pump out these tutorials because if I don't, everyone is just doomed to do the hard way because this documentation is so poor. So I'm like I said, I love myself. And even though like the first half of this tutorial is me just loving myself but not teaching you, that's just gonna have to pass for that. Okay. I'm gonna just keep pushing, man. I'm trying to teach these dudes how to do something. What is it? Well, first of all these videos are gonna be unedited, okay? Get that down. Oh, creating user data, and I loaded the script because I told you dudes that my script has user data is what I said, and then I was like, let me show you guys. So here I have some user data, and I can control stuff that'll automatically control other stuff without me having to do all that other stuff myself. So it's a big time saver. For instance, I have this thing called pixel size, right? And if I increase it, I can increase the size of the cube all 3 dimensions at once. And if I didn't have this user data to do this automatically for me, and it's a combination of the user data and Espresso, then I would have had to go into the cube myself and, go, oh, I want this to be 200, 200 tab, 200 tab, 200 tab. And you can see that it didn't update because of the Espresso is taking priority. And I'm actually using Python 2, to be honest. And all of that is just completely overriding my manual settings. Okay? So that's what user data is good for. And then it gets even more useful when there's like crazy complicated relationships that you can't really, it would take even longer to do. For instance, let's say I have this spacing thing, right? And I can specify the spacing of the clones. Well, the thing is that this image that I loaded has a certain dimension to it. In this case, it's 16 by 16. And I'm sorry, I'm spacing out again. But what I'm trying to get at is that um, I go to cloner. If I had to do that manually, it'd be a pain, man. I'd have to get the size of the cube at any given time. So let's pretend it was 40, and I have to say 40 times 16, I think is, and then it would, I don't, whatever. So, and then if I want extra spacing, I have to add the spacing. See all the math? And I'm automating it all with the user data and the Espresso and the Python so that I can just be like, oh yeah, I'm so cool. I can do this so fast. See what I mean? It's awesome. Um, so yeah, so that's why user data is so great. So let's learn how to make some user data. Now, if you've never made any user data manually, you're going to learn that too. So to make user data manually, you have an object. It can even be like a tag, which is cool. You can add user data on those things. I'm going to make some user data for this cube. You just go to user data in the attributes with the cube selected, add user data, and then it automatically adds a piece of data, and you can name it. Since I don't know what to name, but I'm just going to call it come on, Michael, call it OKF. If you're wondering why I called it OKF, is because I drink this drink called OKF Aloe. It's an aloe vera drink with pulp. It's awesome because the pulp isn't like orange juice. It's like, it's good stuff, man. Yummy. All the jelly. So, inside joke, excuse me. So, you can specify if it's going to be animatable. Cool. I usually like to have everything animatable. And then float. I mean, this is the data type. You can learn about all the data types. I learn this on like a need-to-need basis. I'm not really gonna. The tutorial isn't supposed to be about user data and what it is, though. So you can learn all this yourself. I mean, you can explore it. It's very easily explored, and very obvious. Like, oh, my step value. This affects the step of the, when I adjust the value. Oh, I can have a limit on the minimum and the maximum. Oh, if I have a slider, I can have a separate slider, minimum and maximum. Yeah, so I explained it to you. Oh, a default value, which I noticed doesn't really ever get set. I have to set it explicitly in my scripts when I make user data, from Python, at least. All right, so that's user data. This is an example of when we added a float. We'll give it a float slider with a percentage, which doesn't make... we'll make it a real. We'll even make it a meter. Ooh, yay. All right, I'm done messing with this. I want to move on. And then you get this user data, and you can... all right, I'll teach everything about user data. Fine. So, say you made an Espresso tag, right? And then you drag the cube onto the Espresso tag and go to an output user data, and then you can actually, or you can have it as an input too, or both. I don't know. Do whatever the heck you need to do. That's how you can interface it with Espresso. And now, finally, I mean, we're gonna get to the meat and the potatoes. This the whole like full course serving of what you need to actually do this stuff in Python. We're gonna add the user data, and then we're gonna like connect it, I think, to Espresso. Yeah, cool. It's very, very simple. You need to have an ID counter. It started at 1. The user data works by referencing IDs for each of the user data fields or elements or whatever. So you start at 1, and then you're gonna call this get custom data type default function, and you're gonna call it with the data type that you want. And you can find that in the Python SDK. Just do a search for that function or for dtype long, probably for the function, and you'll get started on the D types. Now remember, some of them aren't documented, which is something I hate. I don't get it. But so, like, for instance, I had to add an in-exclude, and I didn't know how that. I figured out, dude. We're gonna talk about. I'm gonna make another tutorial about how to add in-exclude user data, because that was hard for me to figure out. And now I figured it out. I'm just gonna let everyone know. So, all right, current UDID. Great. That just stands for current user data ID. This is all in reference to that script that I ran. So I had a with thingy. And I got all of these from the doc. There's a page. I think it's, can't quite remember, but if you do a search for like some of these values, you'll find the page that has all of them, and then you can really get customized. So I set the name, the minimum, and the max. The min x means if when you actually set a minimum value, it means is that value inclusive or exclusive? Meaning, is it included in the range or excluded from the range of values? I can't remember what true or false is yes or no to including it. It looks like it says min exclude, meaning exclude from being true to exclude, but verify that yourself. Then you get the data type by actually, so the object you want to add the user data to, you use right here, add user data, and then add it, everything that you've just created, add it. And then you get this thing called user, you get a data type. I mean, you call it whatever you want. I just call it the data type. And then if you ever want to access it, you access it by using the original object like this with the, with like the array thing, array entry, and the index is actually this UD with data type that you got. And then you can specify its default value. I specify it manually because like I told you, I found that the default never actually seems to work for myself when creating this stuff from Python. So I set it explicitly. Now you want to, in my case, I make sure that I get the ID in its own ID just so I can have everything I need in the future. You never know when you're going to have to be able to reference that ID later on the line. So this is what I do, and then I increment the current user data ID so we can get this prepared for the next piece of user data. Here I add the height. It's the same ordeal. It was another D type long, and I'm actually going to talk about the exclude list in this tutorial, but I think I should make a separate tutorial. It's the same BS, man. Just did all that stuff. Got the data type, added it, but you just read it, man. Here's where I got a real data type because we real. I'm just playing. So, yeah. But we're totally real, and we added a real data type. And this was a more elaborate one where I gave it a minimum and maximum. I gave it a smaller min and max for the slider. I didn't exclude, and I even gave it a unit of meters. In this case, I gave a default value, but I set it explicitly down later. And then here's important, custom GUI, so I gave it a real slider. Sweet. So and then like I said in the documentation, if you search for this, you can find all the other options for your GUI. This is just the same pattern. This had a little bit of extra stuff. I did that again, and I did it again. This is actually a bool. Check it out. Used a bool this time. It kind of makes me wonder: is the bool a D type real? Usually, isn't there like a separate type for bool? I don't remember anymore. Let me check my script. I'm gonna hit undo and then get my script back. I want to see if go to manage user data. You can check that data out. I had this one. See, it's actually real. I didn't use the best data type. I'm gonna actually take that. We're gonna look at this together. Make sure you download the documentation. You should have done that by now. But since this isn't a tutorial about doing that, I won't talk about how. Not in this tutorial, at least. You can find it somewhere else, you know. But I have it bookmarked. Oh wow, I even bookmarked the exact page. Okay, so except this isn't the exact thing I wanted actually. I think I can just search description. No, this isn't the one I want. So like whenever I'm not sure what I need, I'll just find that D type and I'll search for the D type. We'll see if that gets us to where we want. So like probably desk level is what I'm looking for. Oh yeah, right here. So D type bool is probably actually really that's really what we wanted to set in the script. I'm actually going to change that right now in the moment, and I'm going to reload the script. And hey, you just got to watch me live, you know, do that. Which I think I don't know. I think that's cool. All right, so I added it. I'm gonna delete the old one, and we're gonna look at that user data. I want to just make sure that it says bool. I'm even gonna make sure. Yeah, bool. Look at that. Boom. I'm even gonna see if it works. It should work, but yep, it's working. You don't know it works, but I know it works. Sweet, totally works. All right, so sorry. I don't know. I'm just struggling with not being perfect. It's like a thing I do all the time. So I taught you create now you know how to create these data, right? And you know how to populate it with all certain custom features, and you know how to make several of them. But we're not done yet. This is where we're going to talk about the how to add an in exclude. I'm going to briefly mention it here, but I'm going to probably make another tutorial that just talks about it because it's like a unique thing. But long story aside, I actually documented this story on a forum. So I'm going to change my mind again. I will not talk about this in this tutorial, but you did at least get to see that. And that was it. All the user data is now effectively added. It's just not actually being driven. I mean, it's a GUI element. You can control it, but it doesn't do anything. It gets whatever values you set as parameters, but it doesn't actually drive anything. So if you've never messed with user data before, I would highly encourage you to first do it from Espresso, just because it's more hands-on and you get to like connect all the dots. I don't know. I find that visually appealing. So let's create that cube. And we added some user data or whatever, right? So if you wanted to actually like do some automation, like let's say we wanted to have that value drive the size of the cube. Now this is a little different because now we're gonna have the user data drive its own objects data, and let's do it. Right click, Cinema 480 tags, Espresso. And then I'm going to drag the cube in, and I'm going to do it twice because we're gonna drive, you know what I mean. So user data, and then we're gonna drive the. I'm gonna, instead of specifying the scale, I'm just whoops, sorry. Instead of specifying the scale, there's a couple ways we could do it. We could do it in a couple ways. I'm going to try to break them both down. We could have had like this one data value go out into something that turns a real into vectors, and then send it to each of them, and then set the. But that's like, I don't have to even bother with that because this allows me to specify all three separately like this. Sorry if that was confusing. All right, I hold Command and double click to resize the node, and then I'm going to drive every single size by this one piece of user data. And what happens when I do that is that the user data will now have this icon, allowing you to know that this is in well, I interpret that as telling me that this thing's related to Espresso, or it's being driven by Espresso. You know what I'm saying? Or not necessarily being driven, but is driving or is being driven by Espresso. Okay, so it's in the Espresso. Now let's try to. This data is the wrong type, man. Percentage. That's a problem. See, the problem is that when you add data, you can't go back. Actually, in this case, you can, but notice how sometimes you can't go back and change the data type, so be careful about that. I'm going to go and make it a real. Actually, I'm going to make it a meter. Hit OK. So now we've got 0 centimeters, we got nothing, and we're going to change the size dynamically, and we change it in 3 dimensions, just like that, simultaneously. Beautiful. We're making some tools, guys. We're automating tasks, complex tasks at that, or you know, beauty is in the eye of. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I was thinking that maybe this isn't so complex, you know, but it's the building blocks to automating complex relationships and complex tasks. All right. So we created the user data in Python. Now I wanted to teach you how to actually dynamically create all of this from Python, so that when you run the Python script, for this example, the cube would automatically get created, the user data would automatically be created, and then the Espresso relationships would automatically be created. So let's try to accomplish that right now. Okay. I'm not excited. Okay, I'll try the what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a cube. So thank God I have the script that has like a lot of stuff already done. So to create the cube, I have some code here to create a cube. I'm gonna make a new script. Always remember to import C4D, and then you may define a main function. Okay, and then cube equals C4D.base object. Yep. I'm not even going to bother resizing it. Insert the object. No parent. Sure. Why not? Desktop. PSDK. I'm just saving it. We'll call this. What are we doing today? I already forgot. Like, I don't even know what I'm teaching. I don't know. Come on, Mike. What are you teaching? User data. Yeah. I'm not usually forgetful. It's more like I did all this stuff and I really want to make sure that it gets passed on, because it's not taught anywhere. You got to like find the scraps on forums, you know? It's really difficult. So, now it's nice that someone's done it for you. Okay. I'm trying to teach you. So we just made a cube. We inserted it in the document. Now we've got to create the user data, and I'm just going to grab that. I'm going to grab some user data from this example and just kind of copy and paste it, and then modify it. I'm only going to create one piece of user data, and I'm going to keep it as a long, which is an int type. But since we're changing the size of a cube, we should really make it real, which is like a float. And let's just call this size. And we can give it a minimum. I would say 0. And then we can give it a maximum, which is, this is an example, 1,000. And we're going to exclude the min, meaning that you can't go all the way down to 0, you know. But we don't, I mean, that's up to you. I'm just deciding to leave it true. You do whatever you need to do. I'm just going to leave these guys as true. A slider would be nice, don't you think? And I'm going to leave the slider min and max. I'm just not even going to set anything. That'll probably leave it as the same as these min and maxes. And since I want a slider, I'm going to grab this one. And I also like how we set it as a meter there. And since I already pretty much taught you how to create user data, I'm not going to really do anything else just to move this tutorial along. So we added the user data now. It says null object. But see, that's not right. We made this cube, so now we got to say cube. And then I'm not even going to bother giving a default value. I should. All right, fine. Cube. And let's just say 200. That or I mean that's the default in my Cinema 4D when a cube gets made anyways. The width. All right, yeah, we got the ID. Now this says width. I'm gonna go and highlight this and do Apple Option F, and I'm gonna change width to size. Place all. Now I'm gonna delete all this stuff. You can leave that there if you want. Maybe you're gonna expand later. Got all this going on. Just gonna double check it. Looks pretty good. Okay. Now we need to create the espresso. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the cube object as an espresso node. But first we need to add the espresso tag to something, right? I'm actually just going to add it to the cube. So there's a lot of steps involved when I'm making Python. I usually pseudocode it. So I'll make a comment like add espresso tag to object, right? Or I would have said cube or null or whatever. And then I would say espresso tag object, create master, or whatever. I gotta access like a master node or something. I'm always unsure of that crap, but we're doing it. So I'm going back into my master document here so that I can extrapolate from it the creation of the espresso tag, which is only a few lines. So I'm going to do a search for espresso. Here we go. I'm going to create an X tag. I'm calling it an X tag. You call it whatever you want. And insert the tag, and then we get the node master. That's everything that I wanted to do. So, bam. Okay, we created the tag. It's of type espresso. Now we're going to insert the tag on the cube. And this is if we want like an adjacent ordering, but we're not doing that. We can set that to none, or we can even take it out. But you know what? I'm just going to say none. Node master is what we always need to grab when we create an espresso tag. It's just our way to enter the world of espresso. So we get the node master. Now that we've got that, we're going to add the object. So here's how we do that. I'm going to just grab this as an example. And bear in mind that I kind of stopped commenting, which is a really good practice. But since this was a quick tutorial. Okay, so we're going to call it something like xnode cube. And then we use the node master to create a node. We have to get the root of the node master. This is usually the typical part. You do that all the time. And then ID operator object. This is just how you create an object. Yeah, I'm probably gonna like I don't even know, like I just wish that the documentation had us. I mean, you gotta go to Google for everything for this stuff. It should be in the SDK documentation. Keep saying that. All right, but this is how you create a node once you have the espresso tag and the node master. So I'm just gonna say create a node in espresso via node master. Do it like this. Oh, create an object node. All right, this is like the type of thing that should be another like tutorial that's more smaller and dedicated. So we got the xnode cube, and then you've got to set its object ID to the actual cube object. This is where you specify the object that this node represents. Now that we have that cube, we need to add. Remember that we're going to add two of them. So I want to just tell you more why we had to add two. because I didn't really explain it, is because you can't add this cube and then I've never tried this. Maybe you can. Let's try it. You can't do this. Yeah, see, you can't take the out of the same and put it in the in of the same one. That's why we made two. So I'm going to make two right now. I'm just going to say cube in. Sometimes I capitalize it just because in and out. And I'm just going to copy it. And if you want to be more code worthy, you know, might want to make a loop or some crap. Alright. Now that we have these two, here's what we're going to do next. We're going to add an input port to cube in, and then we're going to add output port to cube out, and we're actually going to add 3 input ports for size. So here's how we do that. We use our X node cube out, in dot add port, and then we use the C4D dot, it's like GV blah blah blah. See, this is the stuff that you need to reference. Here we go. When we add a port, we need to specify if it's an input port or an output port, and in this case it's an input. And then we got an add port input. We need to give it an ID, right? So we need to find, oh, this is where using resource files is really useful. You go to your application, go to like where your cinema folder is, the application folder, and then do this. So this is an object. So I'm running on like a Unix based system, so this is how I do it, but this is how I find all the resource files. Oops. And then I'm gonna find the object one. Well, first I grep GV. Now GV has to do with all of this like Espresso. I think it stands for graph view. Has to do with all the Espresso stuff. Once I get all the Espresso, I'm gonna get the object resource. Let me see. I'm sorry. Whoops. Gotta grep that. So I get this one. Now we're gonna open that for reading. So now that I've got this resource file gvobject.res open, I can find out. I think I just messed up. See, you can find out most of the general object ports here, but the one for the size of the cube is specific to the cube, so that we're not going to find it in there. We have to maybe see if we can. Ooh, I actually liked that there. I want to keep it. Now I'm going to see if I can grep for cube. Of course. I didn't see anything come up, but let me grep. Nah, nothing comes up. So when I can't find something, that's when I go to my last resort, because I know how to find the IDs themselves manually. And I'll teach you how. But I'm going to take another look manually just to see, like actually what I'll do, since I'm going to brute force it now, is grep GV, take all of these files and do a recursive grep for size, and we'll do that in case insensitive. Let's see what we get. So we just got some stuff here. So we have a box GV. I don't know. That sounds. We have this velocity size out in the old size. Those are outputs though. Range mapper spline. These are all output ports. So nothing really checks out. So this is a case where I give up on finding the official constant value, and I'm just going to show you how to find the value as a last resort when you just don't know. This is what I do. I quickly create a Python node. I don't know if there's a faster way to do this. This way is kind of tedious. I'm so lost. Scripting tags, Python. And then what I do here is I actually have some code in my paste buffer. See if I can find it. Just from another tutorial that does the same kind of thing. This is the one, even though it's a little off. I mean, it's going to need some modification. So let's do tags equals cloner.getTags. No. We need to do tags equals op. This gives us the dot. Hey, I wonder if I can do get up. I've never tried this before. I want to see if that works. So now I'm kind of experimenting amidst your presence. Hope you don't mind. But it's all on the, so get up, and yeah, I can't even do that. So I'm just going to do what I normally do, which is get object. Dot get tags. I have to, and then I have to I have to get that code back that I just deleted. Alright, so get the espresso tag, and then in the espresso tag we need to get the node that's important to us, and since they're both cube nodes it doesn't really matter, so we can just get root, and then we can get down, and that will be our cube node really. And then once we get the cube node, what we want to do is we want to get the main ID of the cube node size. And since we already added that size as an input port, we'll have no trouble at all. We'll have no trouble at all in obtaining its information. You can't obtain information on a port that hasn't been added. So we added it, and now we're gonna do. We got the node. We need to get the input port, and we know that it's actually important that we know which cube we want, because you see only one of these has got the inputs. And just to be safe, I'm going to delete this one, and then I'm going to go back in here, and then I'm going to say derp equals cube node. I'm going to just print it. Print cube node dot get operator. No, this isn't right. Dot get import. Is that right? Can't remember. Execute. All right, got the port. So it is get import. You get the first import, and then that first import we want to get the main ID. Told you it's a little tedious. So I got the main ID, here it is, and we want to get it for all three. So we are going to, we could make a loop, but I'm just going to copy and paste it. So these are the three values that we want to use for the size x, y, and z. We can copy each, we'll just copy that one. And now that we know that, we can go back to our script, and we can add these input ports. Take a look at the function for the exact parameters of the add port. I'm pretty sure there's another parameter that's useful, but I don't think we need to worry about it right now. Now that we've got that, we're going to add all three. And if we needed to access the port, we would specify like blah 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 equals to be able to access that port later. What we're going to need to do, so I'm going to need to say x, y, z, use the IDs that we just obtained. Now that we've got all of those IDs obtained, we are going to add the out. So we will use the xnode cube out. We will just say how do I say this? I'm going to say UD port equals xnode_cube_out.add port. Oh, now here's how we add user data to the Expresso. And I'm sorry I wasn't more to the point with this. But like I said, I already know I was going down this road. Just the, so user data port, xnode cube_out add port. Where's my main thing? Okay, so here's how we do it. It's really I don't understand the functions involved, and so if you're watching this and you do, please comment, or I'm gonna try to figure out and then maybe update the YouTube video description or whatever description or whatever I can, so that we know exactly what this is. But this is the voodoo magic. I'm just going to add it. This is how we add the user data. So in as the add for the sorry, I'm mixing words. For the out, we make it an output, and then we give this crazy guy this desk ID, desk level, ID user data, D type subcontainer, and then blah blah blah. And then here's where you actually put the ID of your user data. This is where you want to call upon the user ID. See UD size ID, and you put it here. Message equals true. See? Alright, and I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be 0. Yeah, it is. So I do have some idea of the desk level, but not enough. So, alright. Now that we've added that user data, now it's time to connect the ports. So we have the user data port, and we are just going to, I'm going to copy and paste that later. UD port.connect, and then we just add the X, Y, and Z ports. And when you're really making this program, you really want to make sure that these ports aren't equal to none. Because if they are, it means they weren't successfully created. Or you can just debug your script. So I'm going to connect them all, and I'm pretty sure you again want to check something. You probably get a return value that's important there. Alright, user data. Now I'm going to run the script in a new file. Do script, user scripts, run script. And then in my desktop, I should have a PSDK folder. And then we had the user data. So let's run that and see what happens. Unknown script file. That's probably because it doesn't have the .py extension. So I'm going to give it that extension. I'm going to have to close that. Alright, let's do it. It just ran, and then we see we have this unindent does not match any outer indentation value. That's on line 5. So just take a look at line 5 for user data script. And that's odd. Oh, I see. So this line's using tabs for spaces, spaces for tabs, and this is using tabs for tabs. So I'm going to convert all the tabs to spaces, resave, and then rerun. Alright, now we got some more issues. So this time it's on line 41, invalid syntax. So we'll figure out what's up with that. No problem, it's all good. Okay, so add port. The ID. That's the problem. See the double double parentheses at the end. All right, so by now I would have added the script to the script manager and make it way easier to debug this so you're constantly running the thing. Did it run this time? I don't see a cube, so I guess not. Maybe it's still one, two. Wait, what? That's old. It should have run. It should have ran. It should have run? I don't even know anymore. Let me clear this. Why isn't it running? It doesn't even... I'm not getting anything, guys. Look at that. Nothing. This is when it's a good idea to... Oh, I know why, guys. I totally know why. So, whenever you you need to like tell C4D that you did stuff, you gotta call event add. And we're probably going to see a bunch of stuff, so I'm going to create another new file so that the old stuff is like out of our way. But that stuff probably exists. Let's make it call it again. You've got to be kidding me. Did I save that file? What the heck? Cube. Insert. Dude, I don't know. Oh man, so much for this tutorial. I don't even know what happened. It's not running. Dang, nothing. Alright, let me at least see if we can get this. Like, there's no way I'm stopping the tutorial. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna figure this out together. What's up, yo? Nothing. Alright. You want to play like that? I know why. Because we defined a main function. And we actually got to call it. I think, do we call it just like that? I'm pretty sure it's... Do you need parentheses? I'm not even like a big Python guy. Alright, let's open. Alright, there we go. So... Don't forget to call the function that you made, your main function. There's still an issue though. UD depth is not defined. That's from the copied and pasted code, which is, it says line 15. That's fine, we'll just go bam. You probably spotted that a mile away. Never told me about it because you can't communicate to me. So I'm gonna run it one more time. Alright, it just ran. We got the espresso, we got our cube, we got our user data, and it doesn't seem to be connected. So we're going to diagnose the espresso. We see that we've got a cube. What size? Yeah, oh yeah, that's our thingy. And then the input size x, y, and z did not seem to actually be added for whatever odd reason. And then when that happens, I'm gonna mess around with the message equals true thing, which sometimes usually doesn't help. I've never actually had this thing like fix anything for me, but I'm gonna try it. Yeah, see, nothing. I found out a way to fix this. It's in one of the older versions of my script. Yeah, here it is. Ah, dudes, that's how you add. That's how you add it. I found this online. The real way to actually add that isn't with the ID like I did. It's that you actually want to use these description ID things just like with the user data, but I'm just gonna copy and paste it. So instead of doing it like this, I actually do it like that, and then I got this value from just going to the console, going to a cube, and just dragging the size vector over. There's that value, and then you just specify which component of the vector you want, and it's as simple as that. Oh, whoops. This is the way you do that. So the getting the custom IDs doesn't always work, as we see. All right, so now that we've done all that, we can rerun the script in here. This should really be working now, and we're going to actually create those nodes at different locations. That would be nice, wouldn't it? So we'll create the out node. Well, at 0, 0 is fine, but at this one we should put it at 100, 0. So now we get the run the script. Check out the espresso. Now we see we've got all of this separate stuff, but it didn't connect automatically. And we saw some errors here. The port has no attribute connect. Port object has no, oh, because it's lowercase. And all the functions in the SDK start with an uppercase letter. This should be the last time we run this. So, I don't know why I'm running it again, but I am. Check out the espresso. And now we run into a problem that happens when you create when you create object nodes in Espresso and you modify them like this, like when we add the size, it's for some reason, I think this is a bug in Cinema, it actually yellows out the object and it's ineffective. Even though it's ineffective, I'm still going to try to mess with it. And I have a solution to get around this too. Yeah, you see it's not working. Alright, so I have a couple solutions to get around this. Here's the really weird solution. This isn't a solution, this is just a weird phenomenon. Here's the weird phenomenon. If I go back into my Espresso and I actually make it a part of this user interface, so we make it here, and then I run the script while I'm in the Espresso editor view, and it's got to be tabbed. Open it up. Let's delete the old one. Alright, check this out. It's a legit object. See that? It's not yellowed. Now let's go to our view and let's try to modify this. Doesn't work. So it's still buggy. Something's awry. So this clearly isn't a solution. So here's my final alternative: is I create instead of this, I actually just create either like a Python tag or yeah, Python tag. You could do it with a Python node in Espresso, but I just make a Python tag itself. It's a little more complicated, but this video is getting really long. But I can't go out without a bang. We're gonna create a Python tag to automate this instead, and we just kind of ran into the problem. This is an issue, and I hope we got to get that fixed, Cinema. So. Alright, so here is how you would instead make a Python node and drive this cube size, for instance. Let's do it. Let's go back to our Fireflower, and I've got all the examples already ready-made. Remember that we've got all the, we got our ID, because we're going to need to populate the Python code with stuff. So I think I just, the heck? I'm having trouble finding it. Where the heck is it? Here we go. So I just make the tag. In this case, I chose not to reset the tag at frame 0. I'm just going to keep that and copy all this good stuff. That should be enough. So now I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to leave all the Espresso code there. Just, it doesn't even work. I should really delete it, but I'm going to leave it there. We're going to add this Python tag, and then we're going to need to insert the Python tag at the end. So insert tag, p tag. I'm just calling it p tag. We're going to insert it. We're going to insert it from the cube. All right. So now we're going to create this main function where we provided the ID of the cube. We can say size. I think I actually call it size up there. UD size ID, and we'll put the size ID, and that will automatically allow our Python node, or rather tag, to be able to talk to the user data. And we're going to need to be able to talk to the cube, and we will see that that is actually a lot easier to do from Python than all that crazy doing it from Espresso, you know. Alright, so here's how we access it with the ID. We're going to use this sort of trick. So once we do that, we gotta get our cube. So we're gonna do a cube equals doc.search object cube. Alright, this is just my way of doing it. There's all sorts of ways you can navigate it, which we should probably do a tutorial on as well. Alright, cloner equals object to get down, cube equals, we don't need any of this stuff. We don't need, oh, cube size, hello. But that's not the right way to do it. I have the right way. Alright, so here's a gotcha. You can't change, at least when I tried changing in this way, the individual components of the size vector of the cube, it wouldn't update. I actually had to change the whole vector in one go. And I did it with what we're about to see, which is like this. Use the c40.vector, and then we're just going to say cube user data ud size ID. Got that? Alright, so once we get rid of all this crap, we get a cube, and now we're going to set the cube size vector to this. I'm just gonna say size equals this thing, which is a user data of the cube at the right ID for the size, and then we can just say size, 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 and that's it. Let's try to run this script. Delete this. Alright, it runs. We get that Espresso that we really don't care about. I'm going to delete that. Like, I should have deleted it, but I didn't for some reason. Go into the view, right? Now, let's always look at your console when you have Python stuff to make sure that there's no errors. Check out how it got correctly written. You can even see the UDID was correctly dynamically crafted. And you don't need to invoke the main when you're in a node. It does it automatically. That's why I messed up earlier. There's that difference. So now I'm going to go into the cube's user data, and it works. So I would suggest doing it from Python. That was way easier than doing all this crap with Espresso nodes. Even though it's nice to have the visual, but eh. Alright guys, this is Baz signing off. That's the way it is. Dun -dun -dun, dun -dun -dun, dun -dun.